That's right. It's time for another Kaufman Corner podcast with you, as always. David Lesky from Inside the Crown, Les Norman from Breaking the Norm, of course, former Royals outfielder. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. As we talk some Royals baseball here on a Thursday morning, remember, if you're catching us via the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation. Join in right there live in the stream, in the chat room. We do it 8:30 on Thursday mornings. We're going to talk about Carter Jensen. He had a 2-home run game. What is he going to be for the Royals now and moving forward? Seth Lugo shut down again. Ryan Bergert, forearm tightness. Maybe we need to discuss the quantity of pitching. It's like last year was none. This year is all of them. Is there something going on that's wrong here? Salvador Perez gets his 300th and 1,000th. What to watch for here in the final days of the seasons? Why free agents may want to be coming to Kansas City. What is it that makes this an attractive destination? We'll talk about that next here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Off and running here on a Thursday. And gentlemen, let's talk about Carter Jensen, the Royals finally playing. And guess what? He hits 2 home runs, David. Listen, we've been talking about shouldn't he be playing more? We'll get to the organizational award winners maybe at the end, but he was the hitter of the year, the George Brett hitter of the year for this team, and yet they didn't seem to trust him. First of all, what do you think of that 2-home run game, and what are Royals fans in store for with him?
I mean, to hit a home run down the left field line and then a home run down the right field line, that, foul pole to foul pole power, that, I mean, Adam Frazier's got it too, apparently, but Carter Jensen, man, that was really impressive. I know it was garbage time. I don't care. That's a good pitching staff. And he hit a couple home runs off them. And look at the numbers. Look at the numbers already. It's 29 plate appearances. So let's, we can pump the brakes a little bit. But 304, 448, 652. That's a 198 weighted runs created plus. But it goes beyond that because average exit velocity, 99.8 miles per hour. His average batted ball is 100 miles per hour. He has a 70.6% hard hit rate. It's a very small sample, but what do you want a hitter to do? You want them to swing at strikes, take balls, hit the ball hard. Carter Jensen swings at strikes, takes balls, hits the ball hard. I mean, it's crazy. The start to his career, and it was buoyed a lot by Tuesday night with the 2 home runs for sure, and that's what happens when you got 29 plate appearances. But he was hitting the ball hard before that. He was walking before that. He has 6 walks and 6 strikeouts in his first taste of the big leagues. And his first real action has come against the Phillies and Mariners, which are 2 playoff teams. That's impressive too. And overall it's just incredible. He's been a lot of fun to watch. We talk about when are the Royals going to get a guy to come up and just hit the ground running? Maybe it's happening.
Yeah, maybe it is him. Advanced hitting skills. What do you see there, Les? Is he a guy that maybe they've seasoned just properly? He's just ready to set on the table, piping hot and enjoy, or no? We have to put it back in the mic a couple of times, like we've seen most prospects have to do.
Well,
the approach that I've seen is fantastic. I mean, like David said, you go oppo down the line, which is amazingly hard to do, and it shows your power, shows you staying with a pitch. And then look, 2 home runs in a game at any level are rare. College level, even the high school level, unless you're playing in a bandbox. But at the big league level, against those pitchers, that's really tough. But if you go back and look at the pitch that Carter Jensen hit the second home run off of down the line, I believe it was a slider on the inner half that broke really late. I mean, it was tough. It had like a downward plane break, and he stayed on that because if you watch the flight of that ball, not only did he smoke it, not only did it have backspin and got out in a hurry, he didn't hook it. And it's hard to stay on a ball, especially at that young of an age, and not hook it foul, which we see oftentimes because guys just get ahead of it. Another thing I'll say too, what I see with his approach, and I've continued to laud his approach, is that he stays back on off-speed pitches and fouls off tough pitches that he knows he might not be able to do anything with, but they're too close to take. So not only am I seeing physically he knows how to approach the game, but mentally, his brain is locked into this whole hitting thing at such a young age. I mean, I think he's going to turn 23 maybe in a few months, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think I saw that list of he's 4th of the youngest players ever to hit a home run or 2 home runs in a game. I think Hosmer was the youngest at 21, but even so, you watch his approach daily and the way he does things, it's like we want him to follow good hitters. But after seeing him hit, and yes, 29 at-bats, like David said, I like some of these older hitters or Keggs or Isbell or some of these other guys to watch the way Carter Jensen hits. When they go into the video room, they should be watching some of his at-bats. They don't have to tell anybody, but go in and watch some of his at-bats, not the home runs, just the approach. So this kid stays healthy, man. He's going to be a good one.
Yeah, he does have that professional approach, David. He will take a pitch, but we see a lot of guys. I mean, Kyle Isbell's minor league numbers say that he has a high on base and he's a leadoff kind of hitter. That has not been the case at the big leagues, right? So Randy's talked about this a lot as well, that AAA, that league is a hitter's league. That, one, just discount maybe 50 points of OPS immediately based upon what the hitting numbers are. But the converse is, you look at a pitcher and you're like, yeah, these numbers aren't that great. Well, go ahead and bonus him as well because it does seem to be such a hitter's park. So what is Carter Jensen going to be for the Royals next year? What is Carter Jensen going to be for the Royals big picture?
I mean, the way he started, I don't think he's going to do this. He's not going to be a 200 weighted runs created plus guy. He's not going to be the best hitter in baseball, Aaron Judge. But I do think he can be a solid contributor. And I mean, I look at a guy like Brian McCann, the way he came up. And he's a little different hitter. He didn't strike out as much, didn't walk as much. But Brian McCann, this is offensive era, so discount a little bit. He hit 333, 388, 572 his first full season. Those are massive numbers. I'm not expecting that. But McCann had that professional approach as well. And it's just easy to compare lefty catchers, I guess. So that's maybe not fair. But I could see him having a real impact on this big league team next season. I don't know that you can expect him to hit 3rd or 4th in the lineup, but the way he approaches his at-bats, the way he approaches the game, I think that you could see a guy who will get on base, hit some home runs. He might, the average might dip. He might be a 230, 240 type hitter. I mean, you look at a guy like Cal Raleigh in 23, hit 230 with a 456 slugging percentage. I could see that with a little higher OBP because he gets on base a little better than Raleigh did. I think that you're looking at a guy who can anchor the top of the bottom of the order next season.
Yeah, the top of the bottom of the order. Listen, when you mentioned Brian McCann, he's kind of he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's kind of in that next step, right? Yeah. And the catching skills, that's going to be one of the big ones, Les, right? Because he was a big league hitter. Everyone's like, he's a big league hitter. They knew that when they drafted him, which I always find funny for a guy who was a 3rd round pick. Well, if you knew that, you would have taken him in the 1st round. Because like what happened to Nick Prado, right? I'm assuming you thought he was a big league hitter. I mean, did you really draft a guy that you thought was a big league first baseman? We'll see if he can hit. Shame on you if you did. And I think they may have actually, by the way. Yeah. But anyway, that was a different regime. Okay. Different people, but some of the same people, but different people in charge. But, being able to catch is going to be the big key here, right? He looks like a stud if he's giving you those numbers behind the dish. If we're going to follow the MJ Melendez path and he's going to make his way to left field, then those numbers start to become average. Then you've got an average hitter, probably an average defender. You know, Craig Biggio is the only guy I remember coming out from behind the dish and being a plus defender someplace other than a catcher. I guess Dale Murphy.
Dalton Varsho.
Yeah, okay. Dale Murphy. There are a couple of them. You know, I guess now that I should
spanning decades.
Stupid things.
Yeah,
what I should do. Anyway, but what do you think? I mean, have you seen enough to say like he looks good behind the dish? He's going to stick there. And what do you think of the stroke, Les?
Yeah, I do. I think that we have seen enough. I don't think, you know, sometimes it is about sample size on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, you see the way he calls pitches, you see the way he blocks, the way he handles, and not just when he blocks, the way he moves when he blocks, when a catcher blocks, are the shoulders square? Is he turning in to keep the ball centered? You know, and I know it's milliseconds, but how soon does he get down into that position? The transfer from his glove to his hand, and you know, as he turns his shoulders, as he digs his foot in, is he agile back there? So I hate the early optimism, but I love the early optimism, if that makes sense. You know, it's that piece of, I don't want to jump on it too soon because there's a really good chance I could be wrong. But he hasn't proven me wrong in anything yet when the doubts start to trickle in. So I'm not holding him up as the answer, but for a long time, at least I have been having conversations about who's going to be that guy, because Salvy is about done as the everyday catcher behind that. I don't know how much more he has in the tank. Then he surprises us a little bit. He's still good enough to get back there, but we need that guy now to really start developing in there, so we hit the ground running and we don't spend a year or two trying to develop somebody else if he doesn't work out. So at this point, I feel like they found their guy.
You like the catch skills, David?
Yeah, I think so. There's some work to be done. I was talking to some people who watched him in AA, not in AAA, and said the receiving skills head and shoulders better than last year, which were head and shoulders better than the year before. He's improving. I think he can catch in the big leagues. I think the arm is pretty good. You know, he's not. You're not going to get Salvador Perez, early Salvador Perez, Freddie Fermin. That's not what he is. But I think he can handle it 4 or 5 days a week, which is what they need with Salvador Perez. And let me give you one more name that popped in my head and I looked it up. Mickey Tettleton. He couldn't catch it all, but that guy worked to walk, hit for some power. If Carter Jensen gives you Mickey Tettleton's career, that's 241, 369, 449 with 245 homers, nobody's upset. Nobody's upset by that.
Yeah, nobody's upset. By the way, Mickey Tettleton, part of one of my favorite teams, the softball lineup that the Detroit Tigers ran out.
Incredible.
Early 90s.
Plus, he had the best. I loved his stance with the bat just resting. I loved it. Anyway, yep. Yeah. And I tried it once. I think I broke my wrist in Little League trying to swing like that. But it was, that if he could be Mickey Tettleton offensively, everybody's happy.
Everybody would be very happy. So, I mean, that's a lot of power, too. Mickey Tettleton had a lot of power there. You know, of course, played for the Orioles and Tigers in their short porch and would yank everything, you know. So, yeah.
And then Texas, too, for a couple of years.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about Seth Lugo. You know, shut down now. The back still an issue. No reason to bring him back now, Les, right? Like, just enough.
Yeah, that's enough. I've seen enough. You guys have probably seen enough. You know, when you get those nagging injuries where you're hurt and then you try to throw through it, you get shelled or you walk guys, and it's uncharacteristic of what you're doing, and then you try to fight through it, and then you come back. Look, they just signed the guy to a big contract. Why risk it with 10 games left? You're not going to be in the playoffs. Just you got enough guys that can start. It's not some major thing. Just sit down. It's not a big toe. It's not a wrist. It's not even just a sore tricep. It's your back. Every breath you take affects the injured area. Every way you sit, how you sleep at night. So it's something that could be a serious thing if you don't take care of it. So you know what? Just sit down. Shut it down. There's no reason to come back.
Yeah, no, I would agree. What about you, Seth Lugo? I mean, how much concern should we have that this is a back and that it, you know, I'm sure he was probably trying to rush back. Let's be honest, trying to help out and get back in there. He's that kind of competitor. And so now the easy thing is just protect him from himself. Right. But, you know, it is. I mean, it means it's a real injury. This isn't just a little something. He was really hurt, and he's still really hurt.
Yeah, I mean, what fixes a back injury? I mean, a real back injury surgery. Okay, but you tweak your back. What do you do? You rest. There's literally all you can do is not exert. That's all you can do. I mean, you can get a massage, you can go to a chiropractor, all that, whatever. But rest is what fixes it. So yeah, if he shut down from throwing. They said what till Sunday? I think I saw maybe Saturday, whatever it is. You get to Sunday, if he throws, okay. So what? You're going to start him one time? Who cares? He pitched. The difference between Reagan's and Lugo is they needed to see Reagan's pitch. I think he had to get out there. I don't think you need to see Lugo pitch. He just pitched. I mean, he pitched in September, right? Or was it August? Whatever it was, the last day. I think it was August, but it's not been that long. So let him rest. Get him. Tell him you're not throwing a ball for a month. You can pick up a ball November 1st. You'll be ready for spring training. You'll be good to go. Rest that back, because that's the only thing that helps a strained back is sitting down and not pitching. They need him too bad next season to worry about the last 10 games this year.
Yeah, I would agree. Ryan Bergert, forearm tightness. Where's our concern here? Les, mine is through the roof. I mean, a guy comes in, and this is one of the things about giving a guy new weapons. You're asking him to pronate the wrist in different ways, use the fingers in different ways. Forearm tightness is usually what you hear, but is often what you hear before we hear Tommy John surgery.
Yes.
Right. So that's always really concerning. I think everybody has that alarm bell going off, but this is the price that you pay for giving guys new weapons, right?
Yeah. You hold it different, you throw it different, you release it different. The snap is different. There's so many things that are different. And when it's different, there's a different strain on different muscles. Pitching is such a fine-tuned machine working. And so when you make those changes, other things have to pick up the slack, little tendons, little muscles in the shoulder, the elbows, the elbow taxing, and the forearm and how you hold it. I mean, if you just pick up a ball like that and hold it, you can feel the flex in your, even just without a ball, just holding your finger like that, holding your fingers like that, you can feel a little bit of tightness in your forearm. And so as soon as you said that, I went back to, I've known some guys that forearm tightness, boom, now they're having Tommy John or need Tommy John a couple weeks later in the diagnosis. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's just soreness, and obviously they got to really, really take care of that. He's pitched well. I think he has a good future. So hopefully that's not it, but I'm nervous about that one.
Where do you sit on this one, David?
Well, here's where my concern is more. So sometimes you get the forearm injury and it's okay, we caught it real fast. Let's calm him down. Let's shut him down. We're good to go. The problem, he's had 2 bad starts in a row. So was he feeling it? And that's my question. And we don't know the answer to that. We may never know. We may know. I don't know. But if it started 2 starts ago and he threw whatever, I don't remember how many innings he threw in Cleveland when he gave up the 8 runs, and then he struggled in Philadelphia. It was Philadelphia, right? Yeah. Has it been going on? And if it's been going on, and then you feel it in a bullpen enough to say, hey, I can't throw another pitch, which I think he was just probably throwing his bullpen for tomorrow's start. That's really concerning. And so I guess my question is, when was this the first instance or was this the 5th instance? And if it's the 5th, I'm way more worried than if it's the first. I'm worried, period. Like you said, this is what happens. And I can't remember, did Bergert have Tommy John before he was drafted? I think he may have, which is even more concerning. I'm gonna look that up because I can't remember if he did or not. But it's a concern. Yeah, he did have Tommy John. So this would be his 2nd in 5 years, which is really bad. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm very worried about this.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you stacked up a lot of people that are on the IL. I mean, a lot of pitchers. Like you went from like, oh, look at how durable we are, to now like, okay, this year was at this point, if he goes under the knife, we don't know where Chris Bubich is going to be. We're going to be in limbo on that unless they say, he tried a couple of throwing sessions and now they're going to have surgery. But otherwise, we're not going to know what the deal is with Chris Bubich, right? Feel pretty good about Cole Reagans. That's the positive there. But all of a sudden, there were a lot of injuries. And listen, I'm not going to scream and yell. I mean, the Rays have a lot of injuries. The Dodgers have a lot of injuries. They also have a lot of success. I mean, they seem to understand, people talk about, well, pitchers get hurt. And then they spend their entire organizational philosophy based on trying to not get them hurt. The Rays seem to be their philosophy has been they're going to get hurt. So we're not worrying about it. So here we go. And if that's the philosophy that they're employing here, the Guardians have their fair share of injuries as well. And we know these are the organizations that they're kind of basing themselves on.
But you know what's weird? This would be, if it's an elbow, if it ends up being an elbow, this would be the first elbow injury this year. It's all been back and shoulder for pitchers.
That's true.
Which is really interesting. I don't know what it means, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good or not. Hey, we're checking
I'm not sure.
all the injury boxes now. Nobody had elbow on their bingo card yet. Bing, bing.
Well, now they get a free notepad from the moderator.
I don't know what to think about that. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk about Salvador Perez hitting some career marks, what to watch the rest of the season here on Kaufman Corner after you hear from our friends at Greenlight.
Greenlight Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-thru and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Greenlight difference. Visit us today.
This episode of Kaufman Corner is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee's Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
All right, let's talk about Salvador Perez. 300 home runs, 1,000 RBIs. We've had this talk. It's been going on for several years now about Salvador Perez and his Hall of Fame candidacy. These are ones that he had to hit, Les, to be a Hall of Famer. But even more so, like, what about now? I mean, this is a 30 home run hitter. And I'm going to ask David about the fact that he's got a 0 WAR offensively, like, because his on base is so low. But what is Salvador Perez, the hitter now, and what is his value to the lineup?
Man, he's kind of in a hot streak, obviously, and he's a guy that if you'd asked me maybe a week and a half ago, I'd have said maybe he gets to 30, but probably not 100. And now with 10 games left, he's only 8 away, and he's bunching RBIs, and he only needs 1 more home run. So, you just can't count him out. Every time he gets into a lull, you can't count this guy out. You get mad and frustrated when he swings at bad pitches. And I was sitting with my son the other day, and he swung at a slider 2 feet outside in the dirt and missed. And I just my mouth was just like, oh. And my son made a comment, and then I said, well, maybe he learned. And the next pitch, it was further outside, and he swung and missed for a strikeout. And my son mentioned, well, I guess he didn't learn. So it's tough to get on his bandwagon sometimes until he's on his bandwagon, and then it's really easy. So, I mean, he is value. You can't count him out in the RBI situation. He got a big hit last night in the first inning, which, when those home runs come with 2 outs, those 3 runs feel like 5 runs, feel like 6 runs. So there is still a lot of value there. Of course, I'd like to see him not swing at pitches in the dirt or way outside, but that's Salvy. And so it's almost like at bat to at bat, he gets a different approach and he figures some stuff out. You can't usually beat him on a fastball. I think he's going to get to the 30 with just 1 home run, but I also think he's going to get to the 100 RBIs because he gets them in bunches. He could have, by the last home game and on Sunday, he could have 100 RBIs the way he's swinging right now. It's possible. Is it likely? Maybe not, but probably, maybe. So I think there's a lot of value. He's right where he needs to be in the lineup, and you can't count him out.
Yeah. What do you see in Salvador? There are times I'm surprised at the pitches they do throw him. There are also sometimes he does surprise me and lay off some stuff where I'm like, oh, well, that's not.
He's tricking him.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe at this age, it's just he put a mandatory take on himself. And I'm like, he didn't really, see it out of the hand. He just wasn't going to swing no matter what it was. I don't know. But I do find it hard to believe, David, that he has 0, wins above replacement. Right now he has a 0.0 on the Baseball Reference wins above replacement. And I'm sorry, there's a flaw in the metrics when a 30 home run hitting catcher in your mind has no value. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't. First of all, before I get into that, is there a bigger upset than him not swinging at a Matt Brash slider? like that guy, he has the nastiest slider, and Salvador. Anyway, he laid off all of them, but or maybe no, he swung at one, but it was in the zone. It was a pitch he could have hit, and he fouled it off. Anyway, yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, I get it because right, he's got a 281 on base percentage, which is not good. Like he has 29 home runs, which means he scored 29 runs that he's driven himself in. He has 52 total runs scored. So you can kind of see where, okay, if he's not hitting a home run, he's not scoring a run, which hurts his value. So I get it to that extent, but no, zero. I don't buy that. Although I'm looking right now. What were you looking at? Because I see offensive WAR 1.6 on Baseball Reference.
Did you? Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong. One of the things I read it in an article for one, and then I was looking at the let me maybe
but I might be looking at the wrong place too.
Oh, you know what? I was looking at so many numbers. Maybe I pulled up the 2017 Salvador Perez or something. Regular season WAR Salvador Perez 0.4. It says this morning.
Overall, yeah, that's the overall, but the offensive is 1.6 because look, defensively there are some flaws, right? I mean, his blocking.
Yeah, you're correct. I'm sorry, I did not distinguish between overall.
So he has some flaws defensively. He doesn't block especially well. I know people will hate to hear that, but it's true. He gets lazy.
He's getting
sometimes.
old.
He's a big boy. He's 35. Like I get it. He hasn't blocked well in a while, but he's been a big boy for a while too. So, and the framing is a problem, which it's been a little better, but I hate that I despise that framing is a stat, but it is, and he's not very good at it. So there we are. But yeah, I mean, look, like Carter Jensen, I said he can anchor the top of the bottom of the lineup next season. If the Royals can find a way, and maybe it's Carter Jensen, for Salvador Perez to be the number 6 hitter next year, it's hard to look at a lineup with Salvador Perez roughly 30 and 100, even if he doesn't get there. I mean, this is basically a 30 and 100 season, right? 29 and 92. It's for all intents and purposes, it's close enough. That as your number 6 hitter probably means you have a good lineup. Him as your number 5 hitter should too. So maybe I'm wrong because they clearly don't have a good lineup right now. But if you can push him down, boy, that's huge, because then his on base percentage doesn't hurt you as much, because that's never going to get better. It just isn't. But I mean, he's a valuable player, especially, we talked about this a billion times. If you can drop him from 650 at bats to 500 at bats, I think you get more production in 500 than you do in 650 because he's fresh. And so they need to find a way to make that happen. And if they can, I think you've got 3-4 more years of Salvy producing in this lineup.
I'd like to see 500 bats be the absolute maximum. Your point about the on base percentage, since the Tommy John surgery, he had the 353 on base in the pandemic shortened year, but 316, 292, 292, 330, 281. This is the lowest it's been since that surgery. So I do wonder, is he starting to cheat some more? Is he, are we watching it and that number is going to go down? Because he had been a better on base hitter, better at getting on base, since that time. But this year is a little bit of a regression.
The other thing that we've talked about this a little bit and kind of went away from it, his expected numbers, and I know people hate them, but they exist. 238 average, but 280 expected average. 454 slugging percentage, but 543 expected slugging percentage. So the quality of contact, and that includes striking out and chasing, that includes everything. That to me says that maybe there is maybe there's more in the tank than it even looks like. Because if he's got a 280 average, all of a sudden that on base percentage is also 40 points higher, right? It goes from 281 to 321, which is in line with last season when he had a 270 average. I tend to think that's a little bit overstated. I don't watch him and say, well, I don't understand how this guy's not hitting 280. I think maybe 260. But even so, I do think that there's something interesting there, that the metrics show that he should be doing better than this. So I don't know what it means, but it's out there.
Carlton Fisk was a big guy. He played into his 40s as a catcher. I think 350 and 1200 is the automatic for him. If he can get to 350 homers and 1200 RBIs, maybe even 1250, because that on-base percentage, the modern baseball writer is going to look at that and go, yeah, right? And so I think that he's got to pile up the career categories. Can you see 3 more years of 20-ish home runs from Salvador Perez?
Yeah. In the 20-ish years, as soon as you said Carlton Fisk, his swing was a lot shorter than Salvy's. It was a lot, even for a big guy, Fisk's swing was a little more compact than Salvy. Salvy's is a big swing, and there's a lot of torque going on there, a little more torque. I mean, a swing is a swing when you're a big guy, but again, there was a difference there. I don't know. I don't know if in his last few years, the at-bats Carlton Fisk had, I assume it's probably, obviously, as his years went on, it was declining a little bit in the amount of plate appearances. So, yeah, I think we got to start getting to that point where we might see the last year of a 29 or of a 3,100. And if he gets more from this point on, starting next year, that's fantastic. But I love David's point about if you can move him down to the 6 hole and you're getting at least somewhat that kind of production, then that should mean that this lineup is good enough that you had to push him down. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
Carlton Fisk had 167 homers from his age 36 season on. Salvy does that. He's a Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean,
of course, he played till he was 45. So,
I mean, do you see it? Do you see an outside shot at making a run like second? Like, what does he got to get to for second amongst the catchers? Like 370? Because it's 420 something, I think, for Piazza. Then I think it's like, is it 367 for bench? Something like that.
Yeah, I had it pulled up and then Fangraphs crashed, and it's not reloading right now. So I had it and I lost it. But yeah, it's somewhere. So if he gets to 350, he's the 5th ever. 325 actually puts him 5th all time, which is only 23 home runs away. Yeah. So I think he gets there next year.
So then I'm wrong. Somebody must be up in the 380s or something like that. But
I'm
just because I don't think he's going to make the run to Piazza's.
No.
Number. So, but if he got
unless he plays till he's 45.
Yeah. If he got to second in home runs, then I think it's pretty tough to keep him out.
I think if he gets to 350, it's tough, honestly. Yeah. Because he needs the counting stats. But the other thing too, and we can talk about this more in the offseason, I think, but he needs the counting stats because we don't know what the voter will look like so if he retires in 3 years, he's on the ballot in 8 years. Who's voting then? I don't know. Is it people who don't care about framing anymore? Is it people who don't care about because his wins above replacement is low because of that? And so that matters as well. So get the counting stats, and it's very tough to not vote yes on 350 and, like you said, 350 and 1200.
Tell me why, Les, this is one of the ones you wanted to get into. Why free agents will want to come to Kansas City? Why is this becoming an attractive destination in your mind?
Yeah, well, I think it's becoming an attractive destination based on the fact that Waka could have gone somewhere else. Lugo could have gone somewhere else. I mean, yes, they got their money. I feel like Waka probably could have got a little bit more in his contract, but I feel like they come to Kansas City, and with the new regime, schools, it's a quieter place. There are some guys that just get tired of the big market stuff. I'm sure, obviously, big money is a major attraction. But when you get veterans like those two guys and Adam Frazier, who's come back twice now, and they start talking, and they're people that are respected, and they're not flashy. They do a great job. And, yeah, being an all-star doesn't hurt. But when you get that kind of word out from these veterans and, hey, man, why don't you come here? Look, these guys talk in pregame. They meet out behind second base, or they'll go out to eat or something like that when they come into town, or they're in text groups or whatever it may be. They talk to each other. And so Kansas City, I feel like that Midwest part, it's easier travel for families who are coming in that want to stay on the road. It's a lot harder if you're playing in New York and you actually live in San Diego. Hey, come on out. It's only a 4-hour flight to get here. So I just feel like even though they're not the Dodgers, they're not the Yankees or the Mets or somebody like that, there's a lot of positives. And these veterans that sign these contracts that kind of surprise you, the word gets out. They talk and say, hey, this is a great place to play. It's not as the media is not as bad. The The hype isn't as bad. It's a sleepy little town. The schools are good. The barbecue is good. The housing market's good. Just all those things. If the housing market's good, but you get what I'm saying. I just think that word gets out, and it's a great place to play in the Midwest. And one of the biggest is that travel thing for families, because guys want to see their families. They don't want to, be gone for 2.5, 3 weeks without seeing their wife and kids. And sometimes those road trips are long and it's tough. And they're in 3-4 different planes as they go through that. And so I think it's becoming more and more an attractive place.
By the way, can I just say for the media, thank you. The media is not as bad. I like that. It's certainly not as big and it's not as oppressive, and it doesn't seem to be a competition to, be the one to say the worst thing every time.
Well, so then we pulled you out of Syracuse, so we got you out of New York.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Before the New York really stained my brain on covering things. What do you think about this as a landing spot, David? I mean, I do think it looks like they have done a remarkable job. I think JJ's done a very good job of keeping a lot of the strengths of Dayton Moore, of supporting players and making this a place where the organization is attractive and dealing with the organization. And like, if you're, you want to hit the clubs, like this probably ain't going to be your place. I don't know how many guys do anymore. Like, you can get that on the road. But when you're at home, I think you'd kind of like to just be home and relax. Yeah. And they do, and they are competitive with the amount of money they're paying, and they have backed up last year's playoff year with another year that they competed into September. So when you come here, you're not like, ending all hope of playing contending baseball either.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the biggest point, I think, is that this is not, you don't pay the bad team tax anymore, which is huge. I think that's pretty much gone. One thing that we haven't mentioned, I've talked to a handful of players. I have never talked to a single one who has a bad thing to say about Mac Petro. They love, and let me put it a different way. They all have great things to say about Mac Petro, because it's easy to not have a bad thing to say. Everybody loves playing for him. And I think that that's a really big key to him as a manager. Even tactically, whatever, you like him, you don't like him. I don't agree with a lot of the arguments against him tactically, but the biggest part of a manager's job in baseball in 2025 and beyond is not so much the tactical. That's kind of decided by the numbers. It's how you manage a clubhouse, how you handle players. Everybody loves him. And I think that's a big part of it too. Add in the pitching staff. I mean, why wouldn't you want to work with Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove and Mitch Stetter? Like, they have made pitchers better. It's proven now. It's multiple years of that success. That part of it, hitter's a little bit different. I think it's tough to, I don't think you can attract a guy on a pillow contract in Kansas City because they're not going to hit a bunch of home runs. It's a huge park. It is. They're going to hit for a high average if they're good hitters because there's so much space in the outfield. But I think it's tougher to attract a guy on that deal in Kansas City. But I think it's a really attractive landing spot, particularly for pitchers. And I won't be, and again, like you said, they're competitive on the field, but they're also competitive in their offers, like you mentioned. I think that's huge too. They're not saying, "Hey, look, we have Brian Sweeney, come here for $4 million," when other teams are offering 10 or 11. No, they're offering 10 or 11, and they get the guy because they don't need to go 14 to beat an $11 million offer. They just get him at the same offer because of who they have, the park, the situation, everything.
Yeah, no, I would think that now a lot of the guys, particularly anyone who's got a family, all the things Les pointed out, this becomes a great place. And you've got guys, I think you've got right now, it's a great time with veteran guys that have played other places that have decided, no, I want to stay here. I mean, Michael Waka and Seth Lugo are telling guys, this is a place you want to be. Like, this is a good place to be. And I think that's an underrated. Listen, dollars are tops. Let's not kid ourselves. We know what the most important part of the equation is. Mark Mangino said it a long time ago. Dollar signs, right? That's the most important part of the equation. But if you're in the same ballpark, I do think being here, being in Kansas City that is something that will play well for the Royals as they move forward. We want to talk about what to watch the rest of the year. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Whataburger. Your favorites are back, Kansas City, now for a limited time at all your Kansas City Whataburger locations. The Bacon Wrangler Double, 2 large beef patties, American Monterey Jack cheese, bacon, fried onion strings, pickles, and chipotle aioli sauce. Or how about the sweet and spicy bacon burger? 2 large beef patties, American and Monterey Jack cheese, bacon, grilled onions, and topped with sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Or grab the patty melt or even the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich. They're all perfect with the Whataburger Dr. Pepper Blackberry Shake. Remember, Whataburger is open 24 hours a day with breakfast served from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. And don't forget, you can get all your Whataburger favorites and more by downloading the Whataburger app with the QR code. Whataburger, proud sponsor of the Kaufman Corner podcast.
This episode of Kaufman Corner is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee's Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
All right, let's talk about what we want to watch. Let's talk about what we want to watch the rest of the way here with this ball club. David, what are you looking at for the last handful of games?
I mean, I think the 2 biggest things. One, Cole Reagans. Can he follow up what he did yesterday? Because I said this on your show. Did we talk Tuesday this week? Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I don't think they can win a World Series without Cole Reagans. They can make the playoffs without him, I think. But they can't win a World Series without 2024 Cole Reagans. So I want to see that. That's a big thing over if he gets 1 or 2 more starts. It's not much, but I want to see that. Carter Jensen, obviously, Jack Caglione. I want to see him continue to not swing at bad pitches. He still hasn't looked great. There are a lot of questions there. But I mean, those are the big things. You're looking at the players who can impact the future. Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez is going to be on this team. How does he finish the season? He's obviously had a rough August when he was catching way more. It's funny. He's catching a little bit less now that Jensen's catching a couple of days. Weird that he's hit some home runs. So everything that impacts 2026 is what I'm watching for. And I think that I also want to see if they can play 500 baseball. Like I don't think 81 and 81 is nothing. I don't think look, if they finish 80 and 82, they're not going to go, wow, what a terrible season versus 81 and 81. We feel good about that. But I think there's something. Just like a few years ago when they had lost 89 games, it was like, okay, there's not a 9 on that loss. That's big. I think that was way bigger than people gave credit for. Mentally, didn't work. But I think 81 and 81 is a really big mental hurdle to clear. They've only done that, 6 times since the strike? They've only been 500 or better 6 times since the strike. Make it a 7th time. I think that's really big too. So those are the things I'm watching for.
I agree. I think getting above 500 less is huge. I think you'd really like to back it up. I mentioned this season they have proven that they will be competitive, but it would be nice to be able to just look at that records and see some 80s out in front. I mean, this organization, it took a long time for them stinking to fall below 500 as an organization. They are so far below 500 now. Like they are kind of unique in the sense that they've got 4 pennants and 2 World Series titles. And, the Mariners have never been to a World Series, but their overall record with all those 100-loss seasons is plummeted. So it'd be nice to let's get another winning record next to them. I think David's right. I think that's absolutely something I hope that they are playing for. What are some of the things you're looking for?
Well, that's definitely one of them. You guys both hit the nail on the head on that one. I'm not looking at Jack Caglione's at-bats like I was. It's not the same excitement. I do see some improvement, obviously, where he's not swinging at so many pitches. But to me, in his face, he doesn't look concentrated. He looks anxious at the plate. He's just got that look on his face. Maybe that is his concentrated look. I don't know. But he still looks anxious. He still looks a little bit nervous. He still looks a little passive at times. I'm glad he hit the home run the other day, but his swing's still a little bit long, and the guy threw a breaking ball down in the zone, which is catered to long swing home runs with a power guy. So great for him, but I feel like he kind of ran into it a little bit. The fact that it was a little bit off speed, that's encouraging. So I would still like him to continue to improve on the plan, but I'm not as quite as excited about that. I'm really excited about Carter Jensen. This guy, I feel like for the remainder of the season, somehow he needs to be in the lineup every single day. I don't know that he will, but I would like him to play every single day. The pitching staff for me and all these injuries, if you just look at the pitchers, I'm ready for the season to be over so they can just rest and heal and get whatever they need done and looked at, doctors, rest, whatever. I'm also looking like if Michael Massey is in your future, okay, fine. I've watched all year this guy continue to hit. I see good potential in him, but I see these lazy fly balls come off his bat like once a game, and it's frustrating. And I know a couple of weeks ago we talked about that cool streak he was on since he came off the DL. He was like 10 for 19, and that was really cool, and that's great. But mixed in there, there's still these lazy pop-ups that he hits with this goofy swing that goes to the ball and kind of lifts it. And I want to see correction in that if he's part of your future. And if he's not, let him play a little bit and then move him. You know, it's just little things like that for me, along with the get above 500, show that, and give these guys a chance to be healthy. I'm sure Cags is like, man, I want to improve, but I can't wait for this season to be over. It's a young guy who's had a lot of pressure. And when you get to the big leagues and that's your first taste of failure in your life on a baseball field, he's probably ready for the season to be over. I don't expect them to send Jack to instructional ball.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what they do with him. We're watching. We talked about it. Salvy going for his second 30 home run season, going for his third 100 RBI season. Vinny Pasquantino's been right around that 800 OPS mark. I'd like to see him tick over that for a statistical. Tolbert playing some center field with Isbell coming up lame. You don't like it? You explain that face, Les.
Sorry. Well, hey, like Top Gun Maverick, it's the only face I got, right? It's the only look I got. So, I watch. I'm impressed with Tolbert, the way he can come off a bench after not playing for a week or 5 days or whatever. And, I think last night he got 2 hits coming off the bench. I mean, that's so hard to do with this generation's velocity being so high and the stuff being so much better. And so I'm really impressed with this kid. But watching him play outfield makes me want to grind my teeth to a fine dust. It's so difficult. His routes are not good.
No doubt. But they keep running him out there. Do you see the potential for him to do it, or is this just, stop wasting time? Like that to me is like, that's what I want to see. I want to get, if you played him out there every day, which if Isbell's down, then okay, let's just see 10 games in a row. Does it get better?
Yeah, I agree with that. And the one thing I'll say is that the hope I have for him to be a better outfielder is Rusty Kuntz. That's my hope, because we've talked about Rusty before, and he can turn anybody into a good outfielder. He just happened to turn Alex Gordon into a Royals Hall of Fame outfielder. So, yes, there's room for improvement, but what I'm looking at is natural instincts. When I watch Kyle Isbell play, he doesn't get – I mean, that guy is so calm all the time. He doesn't get flustered, fly balls in the gap. He just gets a good jump. He runs in the balls of his feet, whereas Tolbert looks like I hope I don't drop this, let alone being aggressive to go after it. And so that's the thing that makes me nervous a little bit. And so I know we're going to talk about it, but it's guys like Carson Roccaforte who that gives me hope for the future for center field on the defensive side. We don't know that, the hitting side yet because he's young, but there's still an opportunity there. So there's hope for center field. For me, every day, it's not Tolbert.
Yeah. Cameron and Kolek finishing strong. I'd love to see Noah Cameron finish with a sub-3 ERA, just to have that line on his baseball reference page, his line on the baseball card for his entire career, that he had a sub-3 ERA. I think that would be fantastic in the debut season. So there are plenty of things to still watch in this team. A lot of them are the numbers and kind of what we're rooting for. Carlos Estevez getting to 40 saves, I think would be, I think he's been – there was so much hand-wringing about him earlier in the year, but I think he's been very good for this club. Like to see him put a 40-save season up there. He's not going to get to the record.
He did. He got it yesterday.
Or did he get to 40?
Yeah, 40 was yesterday.
I thought yesterday was 39.
No, yesterday was 40. I would like to see him get the record, because that means the Royals win 8 more games.
Well,
at least that would be nice.
Yeah, I don't think he's breaking 47.
No,
but
probably not. It
would be great if he did. How about the award winners? Les hit a little bit on Roccaforte. People didn't know and I didn't put down all the player names that go with it. Let's see if I can remember them all. The George Brett Hitter of the Year, Carter Jensen.
Good pull.
The Dennis Leonard pitcher of the
God.
year. I can't remember. Is David
Is that
Shields?
Splittorf?
Maybe it was Paul Splittorf. The Paul
It's
Splittorf.
Splittorf. I'm trying to find the press release because I want to check you.
David Shields. The defensive player of the year is not Alex Gordon, but it's Carson Rocafort. Or Rocafort. How'd you say it?
I think it's.
I said Rocaforte, but it could be Rocafort.
Okay. Base runner of the year. That's the Willie Wilson base runner of the year, Asbel Gonzalez. The Alex Gordon Heart and Hustle is Sam Kulasingham. The Mike Sweeney Community Impact is Luwinder Avila. And I don't know who's the scout of the year.
Mark Levitt.
It's Art Stewart.
Oh, Mark Levitt won it. Oh, yeah, the Art Stewart.
Art Stewart.
Art Stewart.
The defensive player of the year is Frank White.
Frank White. Yes. Oh, I should have got that one. That's terrible. What stands out to you about those award winners, David? Anything jump at you?
I mean, David Shields is probably the most impressive prospect in the organization right now. I think he, it would be nice if they had a bat that was on the verge. Although Carson Rocafort had a really nice run in AA when he got promoted, so that's interesting. But David Shields stands out because he's a guy. He looks mature. This isn't a Zach Greinke comp, but one of the things that I keep hearing is he's the most mature high school pitching prospect the Royals have had since Zach Greinke, and a lot of teams have had since Zach Greinke, which is really high praise because that was one of the big things is that he's a high school pitching prospect who looks like he's pitched 10 years in the big leagues. So he really stands out. Obviously Jensen. I just think that David Shields to me I would not be surprised if he's ranked the number one prospect in the organization by the prospect rankers come November, December, whenever that comes out, because he's
ahead of
really
Churio.
impressive. Yeah, I think so. Because Churio Churio's a year younger, a little bit younger. I don't know if he's a full year, but he got to low A as well. He struggled some. I mean, he had his issues, which is there's no problem with that. I'm not upset that he had issues because he's 17 years old. But David Shields handled that level at 18 and handled it. He was the best pitcher at that level, not only in the Royals organization, but at that level at 18 years old. That's just really impressive.
Yeah, for sure. What about those awards jumps at you, Les? You mentioned the defense. Anybody else pop as far as getting excited about some of the young guys down there?
Yeah, like I think I mentioned earlier, like with Rocafort, being a center fielder and having that many chances with only 2 errors is pretty good. I mean, he only had 5 assists, so I'd like to see maybe some arm strength or that, maybe get to like 9 or 10. But even so, a guy that plays every day and plays solid, strong defense and can go get it, again, that's the outfielder in me, and he's left-handed, which I love. So that stands out pretty well. I like the Luwinder Avila, that award, because, I read that press release and Mike Sweeney talked about how, he helps a lot of the guys in his home country. He helps guys get acclimated and assimilated to the language and to the country, and he doesn't tell anybody about it. He doesn't post on social media. You never hear him talk about it. He's just a selfless guy. And when you have that much talent and then off the field, that much character, you got a diamond there. And so I really love to see that. And which one of those guys came out of the Air Force Academy? Was it Rocafort or was it?
No, that was how do you say it? Sorry, is it Kulasingham? Kulasing? I don't know how he says it.
I just phonetically bad Englished my
Sam K is the guy.
Yeah. None of us got it. None of us know how to say it. But regardless of that, I thought that was pretty cool because, I mean, when you have that kind of future, that kind of intelligence, that kind of drive to go to the Air Force Academy, and oh, by the way, that's going to be my career one day. But right now, I think I'm just going to try this baseball thing, and it's successful. That's a pretty good start to your career. So there's a lot of cool things involved in that.
I'll real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm looking at the press release right now. There are actually pronunciations in there. Carson Rocafort.
Oh, it's close.
Sam Kulasingham.
Do we have a nationality on that? Because Keila Kahui taught me how that every vowel needs to be said.
You couldn't wait to say that.
Yeah.
You
let's
couldn't
see.
wait
He
to say
is
that,
from-
Soren.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love anytime there's Polynesian players because I feel like I'm equipped with the tools to break it down.
You're gonna love his nationality. He's from Santa Rosa, California.
Okay. And how is it? Give it again.
Oh man, hang
Kula
on.
Singham?
It's Kula Singham. Yeah,
Kula Singham. I
Kula
like it.
Singham.
That's a Kula name.
and it's Luwinder Avila.
Avila. Okay.
Avila.
Avila. Well, I will say something for Asbel Gonzalez. I feel pretty good about the Gonzalez. I 60% on the Asbel.
Asbel, yeah.
Yep. I'll say something about him. I think it is nice to see a guy have. I don't like the batting average coming down a little bit with him, but he's 19 years old. And the fact that he is 78 of 104 on stolen bases means he's got real speed, but he does it with a 365 on base with that batting average down. Now, I do worry about the batting average, right? Because, like, does that mean that there's some funky slice to the hit? You know, the bat head's not in the zone very long, and you can't steal first base. But the on base says that he's got an eye, so
that'll improve. I think that'll improve. I mean, he stole 30 bags in April.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. That led all the minor leagues, and then some guys passed him. But I think you can work on the hitting when you're really young.
And let me be clear, he is still 100+ days away from being 20. So we are talking about a very young player here.
Yeah.
So a lot of
I wonder what happened though, because he was hitting 298, 415, 357 through May. And then I feel like there was, I have to look it up. I feel like there was something that happened. He got a slight injury, which is, I mean, he hit under 200 the rest of the way. So, but also he's not, like you said, he's 19 years old. These guys' development is not linear, right? Like sometimes you have a really good 2 months and then they figure you out, and you have a really bad 3 months, and then you figure it out the next year and you take off from there. And so hopefully that's the case, because you're right. Crazy speed, good eye. He plays a really good center field too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's real talent in this system, right? Like we're not just, there isn't a guy, everybody's got a top 30, but there's some guys that look like they're going to be joining the top 100 of all of the prospects that are in the system. Oh, by the way, and Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen and Noah Cameron just graduated out of your system. So
this is a bigger topic. I want to bring it up and we can talk about it later another day. Should prospect rankings be different? Like, why the Royals are going to be dinged because they don't have Caglione, or I guess Jensen will still be considered a prospect, but Caglione and Cameron graduated. They still have them under team control for 6 more years. Like, why?
Well,
I get it, but
I think that comes to your organizational ranking. Your
That's fair.
The NFL loves to do best organization, best players under 25, to like kind of show the years. I think you could do, maybe baseball needs, best talent, quantitatively, talent times years of control. Who controls the most talent, for the most length of time. Yeah, I think somebody should probably quantify that. But I mean, I think it's kind of fair. Once you lose your rookie status, you graduate out, and you're, it's about the system. It's a farm system ranking.
I agree. I just think you look at the Royals, like look at their lineup. Who are the best players? Bobby Witt, produced by the system. Vinny Pasquantino, produced by the system. Michael Garcia, produced by the system. Salvador Perez, produced by the system. Potentially Caglione and Jensen, produced by. If you go into next year, those 6 guys you're expecting to be in your lineup every day, probably, all produced by the system that is consistently ranked 28th in baseball.
I think the Royals,
there's something to it.
I think JJ Picollo has always calmly and confidently said, "Yeah, we don't think the numbers are as bad." And I thought it was interesting. He said, we have ourselves ranked at 14. This is a couple of years ago. He said, we knock ourselves down 5 spots from wherever we think we are. And so we're probably, we put ourselves at 18 or 19. And so I think that's of note. I think they've always had confidence in their guys, and the Royals, they do a great job. I mean, Noah Cameron looks like the next Salvador Perez, Whit Merrifield, the guy that wasn't on anyone's radar, that's looking like he's going to be a legitimate big leaguer for a number of years to come. So yeah, that's all that matters, that they keep getting the talent to the system, right? That's the most important part. But I mean, it is exciting. It's been a while. You would like to have, That's great. Have Salvador Perez and Whit Merrifield in addition to Jack Caglione, the guys that are in the top 5 as well. That doesn't hurt either. Listen, you can always support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors like Greenlight Dispensary. 15 locations in Missouri and more on the way. Greenlight, your go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you saw them here on the Kaufman Corner podcast by our friends at Frontier Justice in Lee Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top gear, and a strong sense of community. Go to frontier-justice.com for more information. And our friends at Whataburger, where I will be heading shortly. They serve breakfast 11 p to 11 a. That's right. They're open 24 hours a day as well right now for a limited time. Check out that Bacon Wrangler Double. I'm always going to promote my favorite, the Patty Melt. You can get that, the sweet and spicy bacon burger, the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich. Wash it all down with the Dr. Pepper Blackberry Shake. It's at Whataburger, open 24 hours a day, and a proud sponsor of the Kaufman Corner podcast. For David Lesky from Inside the Crown, Les Norman from Breaking the Norm, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Kaufman Corner podcast.